Hey, it's Keith from Outlaw Speed Shop, and welcome to the February Four Horsemen NASCAR themed build. If you want to participate, here's our next two, the AMC Rebel and the Impala with Shiny Rust in Pro Touring. If you want to join in, make sure you email your pictures to fourhorsemendiecast@gmail.com. Huge shout out to Hodge's Hot Wheels, who's our guest horseman this month. We're going to have a different one every month for the entire year. So as you can see, kind of a shame because I'm starting with a really good car to start with, the Racing Champions. And the cars are usually what we do is when we start the year, we kind of pick out our castings. And like, for example, the ones that I'm responsible for, I send one to each of the horsemen. So that way we're all kind of starting with the same thing within reason. And this was sent to me as our casting. This was originally done, I believe, by Brian at Diecast Outcast, who's no longer participating. And it's a great casting. And unfortunately, it's already kind of really good. So once you take it apart, there's a little bit more drilling involved on these. You have to drill out the dashboard and then also the window. But other than that, I mean, this is just a really great casting with a good decal set for I believe it was Jeff Burton. So against my better judgment, I stripped it and I'm going to clean it with my wire wheel and my Scotch Brite to get it pretty good. And pretty much all I'm going to do is I'm going to primer this white, which in the past I've had really good luck priming something and then I'm able to actually use that as my base color. If I'm going with like a white or a black, I'll use a white or a black primer because I clear coat so it looks good anyway. So and that way I can kind of just rattle can it. I do have airbrush primer. I just choose not to use it because it sucks to clean the gun out for that. So once I've painted, I'm going to matte clear it. And what this is going to do is just give me a little bit of flexibility, so I don't have to stress out about. I'm going to mask off just a little bit of the back end of the car to paint red, and this way I'm guaranteed that will never peel off. So I just use a quick, very light coat of matte clear. Um, that gives me a little bit of less stress. You can see right there kind of what I'm doing. And I'm going to use the Splash Paints red paint. It's competition red. I love the Splash Paints. I talk about it all the time. Um, so you kind of see what I'm doing, just to add a little splash of color. And I'm duplicating to a degree with my own creative flexibilities the Death Wish coffee car, which was actually, I think, in I don't even know what it's called now, but the Bush series. It's been a while since I've watched NASCAR. I kind of stopped after Dale died. I've watched it a little bit here and there, but anyways, I'm going to be applying decals. It was funny the year before Dale died at Daytona. My wife got me 2 tickets to go to Daytona, and being from Massachusetts and never having been to Florida at all, I thought it was awesome. So I didn't take her. She didn't want to go. I make that clear. I took my buddy from work and we drove down. I had like I don't know, I think it was a 99 or 98 or 97, I don't know what it was. Pontiac Grand Prix GTP was supercharged, all that crap. So anyways, it was a great trip. We pretty much stopped once in North Carolina. It worked out great. There was a hotel, and right across the parking lot and from the hotel was like a strip joint. So, we drove for like 14 hours, stopped, kind of cleaned up a little bit. I got to wash the car because leaving New England in February, it was pretty crappy out. So it was nice to hit some warmer weather. So we ate and then we kind of took in the festivities, let's say, and then we drove the next day 8 hours to Daytona. Um, it was a great trip. It was my first NASCAR race, actually. I mean, I'd been to a couple around here, up in Loudon, but those don't really count because it's such a small track. But I mean, where I was just amazed that you figure 43 drivers, you have 43 drivers worth of fans, all in the fans. I mean, all in the stands, everybody drinking, and everybody got along. Everybody was busting everybody's balls, but it was just such a great time. You can't go to a football game without getting, you only have two teams and everybody's fighting in the stands and arguing. And, you know, just this was, I mean, I think Daytona, I think you could buy a bucket of beer, and it was just, it was awesome. The sun was out. It was a great time. Um, and the night before, it was funny. We went to, in Daytona, I believe it was called the Pink Pony. And yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. So we're at this club, and me and my buddy were enjoying ourselves. So I ended up getting a lap dance from a girl. Now I'm from Massachusetts. I'm down in Florida to get away from Massachusetts. It's February. It's cold. It was one of the coldest winters we had in forever, and I was just having a great time. And I struck up a conversation with this one entertainer, and after about 45 minutes of off and on talking to her, uh, she ended up being from my town. I was like, what are the freaking odds that I drive all the way to Daytona, Florida from central Mass? I'm pretty much almost on the New Hampshire border. And the one chick I actually get along with, I've actually got to deal with somebody that's from my hometown. I mean, talk about insane. And I mean, it was funny. She was a hot shit. And yes, my wife knows I went to all these places. It's not a secret. I was a pig, and but I behaved. And but anyways, I had such a blast. And the one thing about NASCAR is you just have fun. It is, it's very. A lot of people rag on NASCAR, and to be honest with you, I'm not crazy about the way it's become. And I'm not going to get into a debate, especially in the comments, about any of that crap. It's still fun. I prefer old school racing. I like, I guess any hobby or any sport, it becomes a money issue. Um, so those with the most money wins a lot of the time, and or can procure the drivers to win in the teams. But either way, I still love the old school, 70s, 80s, early 90s NASCAR style racing. And a lot of times I'll sit down and I'll watch that kind of stuff. I can get the old videos and watch those. But drivers were pretty entertaining as well. So, but this was a fun challenge. I know you guys are probably bored of listening to me talk about strip clubs, or maybe you're not. I don't know. But anyways, but yeah, I had a blast. That was the only Daytona 500 I've been to. Um, and sadly, the following year, they all had crashed at Daytona. So, and if you're a NASCAR fan or was a NASCAR fan, you kind of like, I'm not going to compare it to Kennedy, but it's like a Kennedy type event where you kind of know where you were when you found out what you were doing, and like he crashed. I went to bed at the end of the race because I just figured he was okay. I didn't think anything about it, and then because I had to work early the next day, my wife woke me up and told me, and then I ended up staying up the whole night. But yeah, this was, the advantage with the Four Horsemen builds, and I know a lot of people have been joining in, and that's awesome. That's kind of the whole point of this. Once we opened it up, it didn't take long to allow other people to participate. It's just so much fun to see what other people do. Now, in this, not everybody had this casting, obviously, that's going to participate. So, to me, I would have actually had more fun trying to take just a normal car, any car, and make it into a NASCAR car. But this is what I had to work with. But this is so much fun to see what other people do and their takes on things. It that's I just find that amazing that we can all have a different point of view and a different vision for something, even though we're all looking kind of at the same thing. So I think that's what's the most exciting thing when it comes to these builds, whether it be the Four Horsemen or the Three Blind Mice or any of the other groups that have popped up that are doing really well. Um, it's just fun to see. Everybody has their own ideas of what they want to do, and um, are able to hopefully get their vision from their head to the actual casting, which I have a hard time doing sometimes. You can see I'm just painting, or you can see my hands anyways. I got to really work on my camera shit. But, um, you know, the detail, there was a lot of detail in this, which was awesome. I mean, Racing Champions does do a really nice job with their castings. A little too much detail, actually. So it was really hard to get certain places. So there you can see everything all together. This is kind of what I might have done a few more things. These are all the pieces parts that I had to work with and finished. And this is what we had to start with. Really kick-ass 31 Prilosec OTC Nascar Chevy Monte Carlo. And this is what I ended up with. It's a Death Wish coffee. I just designed my own decals and kind of stole their logo, and I just thought it looked cool. And so that's kind of what I'm doing. I got a few pictures on here. Make sure you check everybody out. There'll be a link to Hodges as well, our guest horseman, in the description down below. And make sure you subscribe and check into the Four Horsemen Diecast channel, where Paul does a recap video of everybody's stuff every month. So make sure you check all that out. And I got a few more pictures here. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.